Hello everybody and welcome to Green Star Trading with me, Tom. All views, opinions and ideas expressed in this video are my own and do not constitute financial or trading advice in any way. Right then, today we're going to be looking at a few altcoins and some of the older class of altcoins, not the most hyped up in recent years. It's maybe forgotten about to some degree, but they were all the hype back in 2017-18. And the reason I'm interested in these coins is it's purely from a technical perspective. I'm not really bothered about the fundamental arguments for a coin or a project. I pointed this out before. This is a technical analysis channel. What I am interested in is something which has set a previous all-time high and still proceeds to develop a bullish count since those lows in 2019 has every potential of exceeding those previous highs. And we can't really say that about a lot of the more recent altcoins which have rallied to new highs, like the Solanas of this world, for example, of which I have no problem with at all. But what I'm interested in is the technicals and looking at these coins here. So we're going to be looking at Dash, Neo and Litecoin today. So they might not be all the rage nowadays, they might not have all the hype behind them like they used to back in 2017-18, but I think they're very technically interesting, so we're going to be taking an opportunity to look at those. But before we get into it, do you want to learn Elliott wave theory? Well, if so, consider joining the Green Star Trading Patreon at either tier 2 or tier 3. You will unlock this 11-part series, which is a comprehensive yet easy to follow video format, teaching you everything you need to know about Elliott wave theory. Well, maybe you want to learn how to chart the way I do as well. Well, I have a series called My Chart, which is an ongoing series which I'll be adding to every month over the coming months, which covers exactly how I set up my chart on TradingView, every tool I use, every drawing I use, every object, every indicator, the whole lot. And we'll show you how to set it up the way I set it up. You don't have to do it this way, of course, but if you're interested, there'll be a dedicated playlist to this too. And finally, maybe you just want to learn how to trade the way I do with my technical methodology, using what I call the standard trade setup. There's a playlist here for that too. We also cover things like trading psychology and risk management. If all of this sounds good to you, then you can unlock all of it by clicking on the link in the description box below, heading over to the Green Star Trading Patreon page and joining tier 2 for £10 a month. By doing so, you will unlock all of the playlists I've just shown you, as well as a whole raft of other educational content. You'll also get access to the public Discord, where there is a myriad of channels covering multiple subjects which can keep you engaged and in discussion with all the other members of our community, including myself. I also host weekly live streams which can go on for hours at a time, where I'm happy to take suggestions and cover anything anybody wants to look at, as long as they make the suggestion in advance. But if all of that isn't enough for you, then maybe join tier 3, where you get every single benefit I've just listed, but you'll also get access to my monthly dividend calendar and stock rating system. Finally, if neither of these appeal to you and you just want to support the channel by donating £5 a month and appreciate the work I'm already doing on YouTube, you still bag yourself an exclusive video each week. Thanks for listening, guys. We look forward to having you on board. Now let's get back to the video. Okay, welcome back, guys. Alright, so like I said, Dash, Neo and Litecoin. Now I find these interesting. Litecoin's probably the exception of the three, but I've only had people not too, recently, so going back a fair while now and continuing to this day, continuing to say things like, oh, Dash is trash, it's a dead coin. I've heard the same said about Neo. Now, I've been in the markets generally for quite a long time now, and I find that when people start to call something dead, forgotten, useless, outdated, and it's hated, that's normally a sign that we're very close to the lows and things are likely to turn around. And when all the hype is chasing the new projects and the new ideas, they probably got a long way to come back. So that's just more of a kind of an experience thing that I've just seen it time and time again. But this is a technical analysis channel, and I think the fact that things which have previously gone to all-time highs and have yet to get anywhere near back to them can easily go there again. And those which have had longer to correct are more likely to be on their way back up than those which have only just reached their highs. And that's just common sense. and can be observed across multiple asset classes, across multiple markets, across multiple time frames. So that's why I want to look at these so-called forgotten about coins. Okay, so we're going to start here on Dash. Okay, and let's just take the count off for the moment, put this into log, see what we can see here. So the correction from 2017 to the lows in 2020 was 97.9%. So it's a 98% correction, so it's a massive sell-off. Okay, large enough, I think, to call this a large wave degree. 1 into 2 at cycle wave. Okay, takes 2 years and a bit. Okay, 2 and a bit years to get down here, and gives up 98% of the market. Pretty severe. The next move up retraces 90% in linear terms of this whole move up. So keeping it super simple, this is 1 and this is 2 of a smaller degree. Now we're off into 3 of 3. Okay, that's the real basic premise. Now we could have a little bit lower to go, it's always possible, and maybe this isn't done, but it's retraced plenty. Now if we look at the MACD and the RSI here, we can see around the recent lows, taking the closes and not the wicks, since that's what the RSI is calculated off, you can see that we got some pretty strong bullish divergence here at the lows. Very strong. And lower lows, higher lows. Same in the MACD. So we're obviously coming into a low. Now whether it's the bottom, that's up for debate. I have a count which says it is. So let's come off of linear and let's have a quick look at what we're dealing with from a retracement perspective here. Oh, sorry, I've clicked on the wrong thing. Right. Taking the low to the high. And as I pointed out, it's exactly 89%. Exactly 89%. In fact, you could argue it's wicked slightly through it, so it's more like 90. It's another significant sell-off. Okay. Now, if we look at the RSI, we can see, if we take a horizontal, from the low here at these lows, at the 23rd of January, before we set this divergence, okay, we reached oversold conditions, the likes of which we haven't seen since the March 20 lows. Okay, so seriously big sell-off, powerful sell-off, very strong oversold conditions, bullish divergence, bounce. So let's now have a look at our moving averages. We came through the 250 in this initial move down, dragging the 10, the 20 and the 60 through it. We bounced back above it, we came back below it, and we have now returned back through the 60 exponential moving average, bringing the 10 and the 20 with us, retesting the 60 literally just yesterday with this long wick to the tick, and we're hanging around below the 250. So we could have, it's possible, another move down to get that one final low, or if we get ourselves above this, it'll be the first significant move across the 250 from oversold conditions that we haven't seen since March 2020. Okay, those kind of extreme oversold conditions, which I think is a pretty strong sign of a low being in place. Okay, we can see how over the long term we came roughly back to our point of control. Now all of this is all of the bottoming structure during 2018, 19 and early 20. Okay, the end of 18, 19 and into 20, where we get our point of control. We bottom slightly above it, so maybe one more little push lower to find it, but I think we may have done sufficient. So from a basic technical analysis point of view, we've done plenty. Now let's just have a look at what we've retraced in log. In log scale, we've come through, we've come back to the golden ratio with 61.8. We've actually broken it slightly. I think if we have a look, it might be the 707 or it might be the 65. 65 has bracketed all the bodies of the candles with just a couple of wicks below it. So essentially a retrace to the golden ratio territory, the territory of the golden ratio. And we know that in linear is 89%. So now let's have a look at our count. So all I'm saying here really, guys, is from a technical perspective, and this is a technical analysis channel, I don't hold to the fundamentals when it comes to these speculative assets anyway. Right, things, you can name it after a dog, a pigeon or a hamster or whatever, and people will buy it. Alright, so I'm not necessarily bothered about whether or not you think Dash is a good coin or whether you think it's a good project. The technicals tell me that this could be a hell of an opportunity. If this is correct, this could be a hell of an opportunity. Now, I say if, because it's always a chance it's wrong. Right, so now let's have a look at this count. So I've got 5 waves up into a primary 1, an A, B and a C back with a diagonal in the C to primary 2, 89% or 90% retracement. We can see how the median line in log scale has interacted with lows for support and resistance for the highs. Okay, and we've since moved to and bounced into the 38.2 3 times, and we've come up to the 61.8 so far, right, where we found resistance. So we're already interacting with this pitchfork. Now, if we come into linear, we can see we've had interactions which are different. We've had resistance becoming support, becoming resistance, and we haven't really done anything other than hit the 61.8 here, and we've still got so much room before we get to the median line. Now, if this is a pivot at 1-2 degree, we've already got an 80% chance of hitting this median line without even considering Elliott wave anyway, just off of this pivot, high to low swing of coming back to the median line. Now, I personally think we're going to, I'm not going to stick my neck out and say whether it's bottom now or we get one more move and we bottom, as long as we bottom before this low back in March 2020, and I think we may have done, then I think we're going to wreck this and we're going to clear the previous highs quite comfortably, which are back at $1,639. Right, and we're down here at 125. So that's why I think it's a hell of an opportunity potentially here. And I'd rather show an interest at this moment in these beaten down, forgotten and disliked older altcoins than all the new hype. Just my personal taste. Not saying I don't own stuff, I do, but I'm just saying, you know, buy the stuff that nobody wants anymore, buy the stuff that nobody likes anymore, buy the stuff that people think is trash, or they mock, or they hate, because that's normally a sign that it's got some legs. Right. So now that we've got our correction down here, now we need to figure out how to get off of the low. So let's come down to the hour chart here and see what we can dig through. Alright, so the first thing I want to do here is I just want to get some kind of geometry around this move. Can I take it from the peaks? Let's have a look and see what we've got. Right, from there, we've broken that. Let's have a look at it in log. Similar. How can we get, let's see if we can get a pitchfork on this thing. There's going to be multiple ways of counting this. Let's take the dominant pivots first. Have that in linear. Broken a pitchfork there. Median line test there. If we take a modified shift, let's just shift it over to here. Take an original again. Completely out of it in log. How are we looking in linear? How are we looking with a modified shift? Back into it. How are we looking with a shift? To the top of it. Right. So, looking at it, eyeballing it, how can we think of this? So the bearish way of thinking of it, I'm going to get that out of the way first, because this could just be free moves high before coming lower again. Okay, and this could all be wrong. So let's just get that out of the way first. I think we'd have to be saying A, B and C. So we'd be saying A to here, B to here, C, and now we're going to collapse. And it's probable that this was maybe a running triangle in the B. So A, B, C, D, E, like that. So let's just take that for a moment. I'm just going to put that in its own folder. Bearish low. So I can come back and work on the bearish option if we do break down. Because my principle is still the same. If we bottom prior to those 2020 lows at cycle degree, even if we come lower, it's going to be a buying opportunity. But there is the possibility we're coming out of a low here. So if I wanted to put a bullish count on this, how would I go about it? Considering we had that divergence. We've had a shift into positive momentum here as well. We come back up to the weekly time frame. Bring up the MACD or the chart. We can see how we've got green bars appearing on the weekly time frame. We've got the average crossing over the signal, long way back to the zero bound. Continued bullish records on the histogram here, and moved back above the zero bound with a bullish crossover. All of that would be a strong buy signal. I know that's a technical term. I'm not telling you to buy something. It's just a technical term, so don't get triggered. You know, and say, "Oh, you said that was a buy signal." Yeah, it's a buy signal. It doesn't mean it's going to work. It's just traditionally what we, from a technical point of view. So now let's come in and let's have a look at the alternative bullish count off of the low. So my first instinct when I look for patterns is I look for 5s and 3s, and I think I can see 5 down there, and I think I can see 3 wave swing here, and I think that's probably 3 there. It could be A, B, C, but my first instinct is to look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into here and say 1, 3, 3, 5 into a flat, expanding flat, the most common of flat patterns. Now, I think this would probably be minute into minor. So we've had a significant breakdown now, so maybe we're done. So we could say 3, 4, 5. So there, that could be 5 A, B, C into 2. 1. Looking for a 2, 3, 4, 5, and minor degree. So that's the first idea. Okay, not necessarily correct, but I think that is pretty sound. So how would I get... Actually, before I do the subwave, let's throw that into its own folder. And I've just seen an alternative as well, and I want to get both down before I forget. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to come. This is more bullish because we're going to push the completion of the initial wave higher. And then this is 1, 2, I should have gone there. This whole thing's a larger pattern, 3, 4, minute degree, 1, 2, like that. Probably with another subwave in here, diagonal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's sub-minute. That looks like 3, that looks like 3, that looks like 3. So it's probably a zigzag and a deeper zigzag here. Could even be a flat. 3, 3, if there's 5 in here. I'm not sure. Let's just throw a WXY in it for a moment. No overlap of the 1 here. Very deep 4 though. That could be 3, 4. So how about I bring that back a notch. Say that's a diagonal into a 5th. 4th was here. This is 3. Is it higher? No, it's not. It's truncated. That would be truncated. Not a big fan of that. We'll see. I think for the moment, the other count makes more sense. So that was 3, 4. Problem is I've got this wave I've got to make sense of, and that doesn't look like it belongs to anything in here. And that's a lower high, so I'm not really sure. Hang on, let's go with what we were thinking first. 1, 2, pretty big wave. 3, 4 is still valid, so I'm going to do that for the moment. This is all one move. 3 at a larger degree, 4 at a larger degree, back into the prior wave 4 territory 5. And that will be mine and 1. Okay. And then this is ABC. Expanded flat. minuet, and then there's 5 waves in here with no overlap. 1, 2, another flat pattern there. 5. That's a zigzag into a 2. That's a diag. One, 2, then a nice strong 3 of a 3. Convoluted 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. I'll stick with that for the moment. So we want an invalidation point back here. If we come back below this, we can consider it having topped in a 5 and coming down from a 1 into a 2, more likely, or it's the bearish cam. But there is hope here at the moment. 105.369. 369. Okay, so there you go. I think I prefer that for the moment. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Okay, so that's Dash. Interesting. 1, 2, 1, 2, multiple year correction, followed by multiple month correction. May 21 to February 22. Significant corrections. If they've bottomed, it's moon time, putting it simply. Because 1 into 2 into 1 into 2 into 1 into 2 into 1 into 2 into 3 of a 3 of a 3 of a 3. But we're going so far past the previous highs, things are going to get silly. Alright, so uber bullish count, admittedly. Could all be wrong, but I'm just saying opportunity. So they're chasing the stuff that's still correcting from extreme highs recently. Chase the stuff that has corrected to lows after years. It's just more technically sound if you can get the setup to get the deep retracement. Okay, so let's move on and have a look at Neo. Okay. Same fish kettle. Right, this thing. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into a cycle 1. We've got 99% sell off. Then we've got 5 waves up into a 1 and back into a 2. It is basically the same thing that Dash has done over the same time frame. The similarities are quite profound. So we don't need to go over the technical stuff again because it's basically the same. We got some reason my indicators have been removed off of here. I don't know why. But let's log it. Now, what's a little bit more compelling here is that we came back to the golden ratio rather than just the 50. Okay, we came through the 61.8 to we came through the 61.8 into a 65 in login Dash. We came roughly to a 61.8. Could have a further move lower, or we could have bottomed. However, in linear scale, it's another 90% retracement at the smaller wave degree. Here's the purple line, which is the 89. As you can see, we've come just through it, so it's another 90% retrace. We get another clear wave move, a move up, and we bottom on strong divergence again. Right. So we get that strong divergence, higher lows, lower lows, higher lows in momentum, RSI, lower lows in price. What I also find interesting again, let's bring up the RSI, is if we run that same horizontal from the low in the RSI, it's the lowest, most oversold reading we've had, once again, since March 2020, suggesting that it's a significant low of lesser degree. The March 20 low was the cycle wave bottom for this altcoin, unlike Bitcoin, where it was a lower wave degree bottom because we didn't make a low below 2018. For Neo and Dash here, this was the low, right? And it was the most oversold we've been. The next most oversold we've been was recently, right? In December. That was cycle degree low. This was primary degree low. I know that's oversimplifying everything, but it's just, I find it a little compelling is all. We get the same in the MACD, underlying strength during this collapse, underlying strength in the RSI. Pull back to 89%. Well, I say 90. I use the 89, but it's more than that. It's more like 90 something. Okay. Working in log to get off of the low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into 1. Now you might say, oh, that looks a bit squeezed up there, Tom. At wave 4. Right? But if you come off of log and look at it, it's huge. Okay, this is the problem. It gets skewed because of these exponential moves that we see in growth in these crypto markets. But that's 3, 4, 5. No overlaps anywhere, even at sub-wave degree. So it's all groovy. Then I get 5 down into an A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To here, I get a flat A, B, C, 5 in the C for our B wave. Right. No, the whole thing isn't a flat, just the B wave is. Then I get a diag. Here. To the wave 1. So we'll label that. It's been a while since I've been on this chart, so haven't labelled the more recent price data. Just been keeping an eye on it. And then we'll work our way through this for a moment. A, B, C into 2. How do I want to label that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is probably the best I could do. Right. And then down to the 5th. Now getting off the low. Let's have a look at this. Because this is what matters. Once again, this could be A, B. This could be an ABC for a bearish low again. Right, and we're going to roll over and go lower. And we'd have to move a 3 down to here. A 4 across to here. And we've got a 5th wave to come. But for the moment, since we're doing the same exercise, let's have a look at it from a bullish perspective. Now, I know I've got to keep an eye on time here so I don't waffle on for too long. So I'll come back and fill out some of this work later. But let's just see what we can do here. Let's turn off the volume profile here. And where are we regarding our moving averages currently? Probably doing the exact same thing as Dash. Testing the 10 in the short term time frame, back through the 60, dragging the 10 and 20 with us, coming up to meet the 250. So it's basically the same story, coming up to resistance. Let's come back to that 1 hour. Alright, how do we get off of the low? That's our diagonal there. So there's a very small 3, 4, 5. So we can get 5 down there. Right, that looks like 3, and that looks like 5. Now that's going to be a very extreme flat pattern. I'm not saying it has to have done the same thing. I'm just going to try it out first and see what we get. 123.6, but that C wave is going to be huge. Goes 200. Doesn't go 2618, goes beyond the 1618. That is an acceptable flat. It's big, but it's acceptable. I could go zigzag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, very short C for 5. I think that's acceptable too. But I end up with a much more skewed wave 4 to whatever the wave 1 was back here. The alternative is to just count it as 3. Okay, bearishly. But let's just try and work with what we've got here bullishly. 1, A, B, 3 in the B, 5 in the C. It's the same idea again as we've seen in Dash. Now, I don't want to sound like a broken record, and I don't want to sound chicken shit either, but you have to caveat what you're saying when you're talking about calling a low to a market which hasn't been to its previous highs for 4 or 5 years. Alright, so just give me the benefit of a doubt of being wrong as well as being right here, okay? Because I'm just trying to identify what could be a very significant opportunity. Now that's got me wondering if that's actually something more complex. W, X, Y to here. Now we can't use that as a swing A. Can't use that. It doesn't work as a triangle for the corrective count, so it would have to be something different. I'm not quite sure how we get into there. There's a higher high. That looks like 3 waves, doesn't it? I'm just wondering if it's possible. Right, if that is 3 waves and we're being bullish, that could be the beginning of a diagonal. But that's going to be very difficult to, what's the word, calculate. We do have an overlap so far, or do we? Not quite. Now, the only reason I'm thinking that might be the case is because we have a possibility of a diagonal C in our corrective element in the Bitcoin that we're looking at the moment. Or I was talking about in the live stream yesterday. Could that whole thing be a diagonal? ABC1, ABC2, ABC3, 4. Interesting. I don't think I can get a pure impulse in here because I'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I really don't think there's a 5th wave here. I think that's just a bunch of if it's there as a smaller wave degree. 1, 2, 3, 4, zip into a 5. So preliminary idea, this is either a diag of a smaller wave degree that's yet to play out, or the whole thing is a larger diagonal. So I'm going to label that first. There's already the possibility that it's corrective, of course. Doesn't feel like it's complete if it is, though. So let's say 1, 2, A, B. We still need 5. That's the problem with that idea. So that doesn't really help me. So now I won't go with that for the moment. I'll go with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is going to be a diagonal. That's about the only bullish count I can get out of it at the moment. I could force 5 into here, but I'm not comfortable doing it. And it wouldn't necessarily make my life any easier through this section anyway, so it's an ABC into a smaller 1. For a 1, a greater, this whole thing's going to be a larger 1. You understand? I'm not putting a diagonal in a 3. It's got to come up higher, surely. Now, the whole thing feels a bit off at this point, doesn't it? That would be minuet within minute. Maybe that's 3, and maybe this is going to be 4, 5, and that shrinks it a little bit. 2. But I would expect to see this play out as a zigzag. Like that. And it's got to be smaller than the 2. This is all very preliminary at the moment as an idea. Dash looked better off the lows, there's no doubt about that. I think that would be it. It's a bit of a squeeze. I can get it in there. Giggity. There we go. pretty, is it? Pretty ugly. There you go. That's about the best idea I can get together for a bullish count at the moment. Maybe there's something else, but I just can't see it. Okay, came back to 89% and we're heading back up. Could be any number of things at the moment, right? But it could all be corrected before heading lower. So I'll have to work on a bearish count in the meantime as well, but I'll get that done. I'm going to be very busy the next few weeks. My new baby is scheduled to be here on Monday. You know, being induced. I say we, my partner is. I'm there for moral support. Breathe, hold hands, be supportive, do all that kind of stuff. But she's the one who's got to actually do the work, you know. And I do feel we live in an age nowadays where men are encouraged to take some of the glory unfairly, I think. So we're not really doing anything. Brought the situation about, but can't really take much credit after that. Alright then, so that's Neo. So let's finish up by looking at Litecoin and if it looks any better off of the lows. Now I've done more work here on Litecoin because this is a slightly different count. You could follow the same logic and say cycle degree, primary degree, intermediate degree, and you could easily upgrade all of that. But what I've actually done here is I've just left it all a wave degree lower. It's even more bullish. What makes Litecoin different is how much further we've come, right, relative to Neo and Dash, for example. We almost made it back to the intraday high. It's like a tick in it according to the chart here on Coinbase. It's like barely noticeable. We made it back to the all-time high, let's just say that. Now let's just turn the count off for a minute. There's this parallel channel that we're nipping along at the moment, and this is quite interesting. The idea in its simplest form is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2s along the bottom before we seek out 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4 and come racing up here. So it's like uber bullish. Right, now let's just bring up the count on moving averages again. Let's look at the volume this time here on Coinbase. Pretty flat still at the moment. Waiting to see that a third wave come out of all of here. Volume should start to increase, but at the moment not all that much to talk about. Now moving averages, it's the same story we've been seeing. Compressed below the 60 with the 10 and the 20 through the 60, 60 through the 250, staying below it until recently. Price moving back above the 10, above the 20, above the 60, coming back to test the 60 currently, with room to move higher if this is correct. So, bring up our indicators. Off of the recent lows, you know what I'm going to tell you. It's the same old story. Strong bullish divergence between closing prices. Okay. Higher lows in the MACD, higher lows in the RSI, lower lows in Litecoin. Incomes to low, turn around back above the moving averages. Some strong support down here. Once again, if we take the low that we came to, maximum reading, we haven't seen a low like it since July 21. So this suggests that the idea that we didn't get that low since the March 20 low, this is slightly different. Now the reason for that is different lows. Here's the minor wave, what we're counting as intermediate wave in Neo and Dash from the primary. If we take that low reading in the RSI, guess what? Let's move it down. You don't get anything like it since the March 2020 low. That's the comparative low, because we're a wave degree ahead. Instead of being 1, 2 to the March 20 low at the larger cycle degree or primary degree, we're 1, 2 to the March 20 low at intermediate degree because it didn't set a lower low, unlike in Neo and Dash. So I would expect that relationship to be as it is. So we're now in the minor wave degree. We've done the next one and the two in Litecoin, which Neo and Dash haven't done yet. They're a wave behind. Yeah, that's essentially the idea, and they've still got this move back to the highs to do. Right. But Litecoin's already done it, Ethereum's done it and moved on again, and Bitcoin's the leader. She's way ahead. And that's the thing, and everything's kind of staggered behind one another. And I imagine with the new coins, which have all become much more popular in the last couple of years, they're a whole wave behind all this lot. They're beginning their journey. It's all just, it's just theoretical. I can't prove any of that. It's just a hunch. But anyway, let's come into the lows now then. Or I'll talk you through the count. So, minor 1 into minor 2, it's a simple ABC. And it actually subdivides as 535, believe it or not, without any diagonals or anything, which is nice to see for a change. So far as retracement goes, we know that the market fell out of bed into the lows of 2018. We gave up 94%. We got a huge correction at intermediate degree as well of 83%, smaller than the primary degree, but coming back a deeper retracement, I think. Gave up less of the market overall, but it was a more significant retracement. Over 89% in log, which is big. Big, big, big. Now let's have a look at the next wave up. Okay, it's a minor degree. Still tracking along this channel we've got going on at the moment. This comes back to the 50 in log, bottoming around. Whoops. Bottoming around the 50. Right. What's it in linear? Right. It's roughly the 78.6. It's through the 78.6, but not quite 89. So if you, this is all conjecture, but if you think about it, this is a wave degree ahead of where we were in Neo and Dash, right? This is a lower wave degree that brought us back to the highs, and we had massive correction of 90-odd%. Then a slightly smaller correction, but still brutal in terms of retracement. But this ended with a higher low rather than a lower low, giving us that 1-2 of a lesser degree. And then this next subsequent wave is less again, like 76% retracement as opposed to 89. So each wave degree is giving up a little less, I guess you could say. So, or this minor degree is giving up less. Now, if we come back to the hour chart for a minute, and walk our way through the low. So same again, I'm picking a expanded flat. Now this seems to be the go-to pattern that has occurred here across multiple assets. 1, A, B, C. Multiple assets in the same asset class. From here it becomes a really higgledy-piggledy mess. I don't like the look of it. This could be another flat, or this could be the top of something, and it's a bigger zigzag. Right. Very difficult to tell at the moment. The whole thing could be larger correction as well, of course, as we've discussed multiple times, before we come down lower and seek out a lower low here in Litecoin, and also a lower low everywhere else as well, if that's the case. Would be what I'd expect to see across the broader market. Now, the same point still stands though, which is if this is a series of 1 2 1 2 1 2, whenever this 2 comes in, whether it's in now already or whether we get one more wave down, it's going to be a phenomenal opportunity, I think. And I would expect to see value hunters come back to these coins, buy up these technical levels, while the more recent entries to the market, who have brought more of the trending coins lately, will get left holding the bag. Not for the long term, they will continue higher as well. I mean, not all coins will all continue higher. I don't want to give that impression because there's so many thousands of projects I can't keep track of them all. But if it's got sufficient market cap and participation and is putting in bullish patterns, impulsive patterns, then it's going to continue higher. All right. There will come a point where there will be a day of reckoning across the whole market, but we're not there yet, I don't think. Not by a long shot, is my impression. So as you can see, if we just bring this into linear again, we've had some interaction with the pitchfork, the median line prior to the pivot, resistance here, support here. Not even back at the 61.8 yet. We've got a lot of room. Median line, if we came up in a straight line, would be somewhere around 360 bucks. And that's before we even get into the meat and gravy of this larger wave degree. Okay, this 3 over 3 over 3. It's going to be stupendously powerful if that's correct. In log scale, you can see this is tracked really quite nicely as well. You know, some resistance and support here, resistance and support here, 38.2, 61.8, test of a 61.8, still want to come back and do it again. So there is room here. Now if we do continue to break down, this whole pivot will get adjusted and moved lower, and we'll have to reconsider things, but I still think when it does bottom, if it hasn't bottomed already, it's going to be an opportunity. Okay, I don't really think I've got nothing else to offer you now, to be absolutely honest guys. I just wanted to bring these to your attention because they're all giving similar signs. They're all giving bullish divergence off the lows. They've all retraced significant amounts, 78.6, 90% in the cases of the other two, and they seem to have set up this nesting 1-2, 1-2 structure with an extra 1-2 here in Litecoin. So 1-2, 1-2 we're seeing in a Neo and Dash, but 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 we're seeing here in Litecoin. So overall very bullish counts. So there you go. I just wanted to bring those three to your attention. If you are interested, you know, feel free. You do what you want. I'm just saying, you know, I own all of these. I own a lot of other crypto as well, but I just feel that something that's already gone to its highs and still looks bullish has a very strong probability after a long period of correction of taking out those highs. Okay. Alright then, if you're new to the channel and you like what you've seen, please subscribe, smash the like, hit the little bell notification icon to remain informed of future video releases. Feel free to leave us a comment in the comment section below. As always, a huge thank you to my Patreon subscribers. Your support is massively appreciated, especially with the period of my life that I'm about to go through now, and it's always welcome. I will be back working hard after a couple of weeks break. Okay, but if you are interested in joining the Patreon, there's loads of educational material and benefits and stuff that'll keep you entertained in that meantime, and I'll only be away for a short while we adopt a life with a new baby. Alright, and then we'll be hitting the ground running for the back half of the month and on into the future. So if that does interest you, there's a link in the description box below. Head over, have a read, see if there's anything you're interested in, and as always, whenever I post a video, I try to remember to post it on Twitter. 99% of the time I do. So if you're not following me on Twitter yet, follow the link in the description box below and do so. Right, take care of yourselves guys, and I will see you again when I see you again. It could be a couple of weeks or so, but all the best, take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.